imagine some of you are thinking, but don't we live in a postmodern society in which these rational apologetic arguments and evidences are no longer effective? Since postmodernists deny the canons of traditional logic and rationality and truth, these apologetic arguments are worthless. All we can do is simply share our narrative in today's culture and invite people to participate in it. Well, in my opinion, this type of thinking could not be more mistaken. The idea that we live in a postmodern culture is a myth. The idea that we live in a postmodern culture is a myth which I think is perpetuated by youth ministers and seminarians. In fact, a postmodern culture is an impossibility. It would be utterly unlivable. Nobody is a postmodernist when it comes to reading the labels on a bottle of aspirin or a bottle of rat poison. If you got a headache, you better believe that texts have objective meaning. People are not relativistic when it comes to matters of engineering, science, and technology. Rather, as Sean so beautifully displayed for us, people are relativistic and pluralistic in matters of religion and ethics. But you see, that's not postmodernism. That's modernism. That's just old-line verificationism and positivism, which says that if you can't verify it with your five senses, then it's just a matter of personal preference or emotive expression. We live in a cultural milieu which remains deeply modernist. In fact, I think that postmodernism is one of the craftiest deceptions that Satan has yet devised. Modernism is dead, he tells us. Don't worry about it. You don't need to fear it any longer. Forget about it. It's dead and buried. Meanwhile, modernism, pretending to be dead, comes back around in the fancy new dress of postmodernism, pretending to be a new challenger. Oh, your old arguments and evidences are no longer effective against this new opponent. You better simply get rid of them, lay them down. Instead, just share your narrative. And so Satan deceives us into voluntarily laying down our best weapons of logic and rationality, and as a result ensuring modernism's triumph over us. If we follow this suicidal course of action, then the consequences for the church in the next generation will be catastrophic. Christianity will be reduced to just one more voice in a cacophony of competing voices, each sharing his narrative and none of them commending itself as the objective truth about reality, while scientific naturalism continues to shape our view of how the world really is. Now, of course, it goes without saying that in doing apologetics, we should be humble and relational and invitational. That's hardly an original insight of postmodernism. From the very beginning, Christian apologists have known that we should present the reasons for our hope with gentleness and respect. 1 Peter 3:15. You don't need to abandon the canons of logic, rationality, and truth in order to exemplify these biblical virtues.